Already some sort of 14 meetup in a row. We started this group a year and a half ago. I'm very glad this group with a huge amount of users here, the members in Latvia. We got 300 or something like that. We didn't expect at the very beginning that this group would be so big, but for our small market it's a huge success. So yeah, my name for those who don't know me is Riga. You could easily find me with two-word combination, every social network on Google. So who is first time here? Okay, there's a lot of newcomers. Okay, so probably I will go very fast through the introduction to this meeting group and its history and something like that. Then we have a featured investor and startup here today for a very short presentation for each of them. Then we have a featured speaker, Alise Semjonova from Instagram, and we will hear a speech about product design and theory and reality. Then we have announcements, so everybody can shout out your announcement if you're looking for something for a designer or a project or something like that. You just afterwards came out and speak loudly. So yeah, a couple of words about history of this group. So we are three co-founders of this group. Lithuanian, Anderson, and me actually decided to start this group in order to make some sort of ecosystem here in Latvia for designers and UI UX people. And it's very important for every ecosystem because UI and UX design is a very important part of every beautiful product, for websites, for mobile apps, even for automotive applications and other. And we will be very glad that this community will grow up. And meeting groups is important for those who are coming to our country first time and looking what kind of events is going on in the town today. So they usually found out such kind of geographical events through meetup.com. So just follow this group. And this is one of my personal view of this ecosystem is that I also would like to grow up to start ecosystem around this nice design thing. So my intention to create here in Latvia is viable startup ecosystem, and designers are one of the important part of that. And I'm representing here Riga University Foundation. We, in order to raise entrepreneurship and technology education, here we created small groups, not small, but quite narrow interest groups consisting for disciplines like Bitcoins, like parallel programming, UI this particular event. Then we have automotive meetup for those who are interested in automotive things, by technologies, drones, mobile applications, and for entrepreneurs we have founder. So we're running all those groups. So and if you're interested in to appear in every of those groups, just follow up in meetup.com and apply for the next event. So a couple of words about featured events. Probably Liga will tell about one interesting event going on in neighbor country.
Hi everybody, my name is Liga and I'm also co-founder of this weekend organizer. Yeah. And there was one interesting thing that I wanted to tell you. In UX scene in Latvia, there's a main event on February, which is called UX Riga Conference. But in Baltics, there are a few of them. And so this week in Estonia, this is the #1 UX event in Estonia called World Usability Day Conference. Why it's important, I'll just scroll through. Now, Richard, please help me. This is French computer. If you go to schedule. Yes. And it up. So there are some really nice speakers coming to Tallinn this Friday, like Vitalik Friedman, who is going to reveal some tips and tricks about responsive design. So he's also co-founder of Smashing Magazine. Some researchers from Philips, are also some user research gurus from some European countries are coming there. So if you have some time free on Friday, then mark your calendar, go to Tallinn. And if you can go to workshops, yeah, the interesting thing about World Usability Day in Tallinn is that they are having 1 day free of charge conference, and then they're having extra 1 full day workshops on several topics. Like also Italy Freeman is going to give away a full day workshop on responsive design on Saturday. So it's 8 hours of responsive design, which is great. Then there is, you see this guy from Usability Tools who's giving some, again, full day workshop on how to test website usability with remote testing tools. And if you go further down, there is, yes, service design and customer journey mapping. Again, 1 full day workshop on this topic if you're interested to. And if you scroll even further down, then yeah, there is a lean startup and customer development workshop, but this is on Wednesday though, and it's probably half day. I guess it's on the half. Yeah, it's half. You see, they are not really free of charge, but if you're eager to learn and if you're ready to spend 1 day learning something new, then I think it's pretty good thing to do on next weekend. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you again. So the second event probably interesting more for not only designers but also for startups or designers who would like to be part of a startup or start their own startup. There will be an annual or next startup week in Riga. So it will be November 20. So they're always looking for designers. I don't know if probably you can reach how I've heard about this thing before. If not, so just look for a Facebook page and from Riga G3 and then apply the designer experience. Today, I would like to invite one featured staff per event in order to promote entrepreneurship between designers. And I would like to ask Ivars today from Writer Is to show up what UX challenges this project is facing. So yeah, Ivar, thank you.
Hello, my name is Ivars Indriks. I'm co-founder of Writer Is, and maybe how many of you know what Writer Is? Who have seen? Okay, some people know. Basically, we started this as a web app and realized to create a mobile app that is a mobile blogging platform where your post is typewriter, with post showed with the typewriting animation. And I will explain some psychology and UX things. Basically, our minds are attached to movements and actions. And in that way, we pay attention. If something is moving, we are paying attention, and that's why advertisings and all these things, blinking things, catch our attention. And we use this psychology for blogging posts. And because more and more people are focusing on videos because it's more entertaining and less for textual content. And with this typewriter effect, we can attract more attention for text. And there is some good things. When people are reading stories with the text typing animation, they want to know what's going to happen next. They can't scan entire article, and they are curious. Also, this fear of missing out. You don't know what's going to happen, and if there's something interesting, or what about this entire story. And also there's a few disadvantages using this technology and this effort. And not everyone is reading the same speed. And that's the main problem for us currently, and we are trying to solve this. and also as we tend to scan content and move faster, with this kind of content, you can't scan. You have to read, and you have to decide if it's worth reading or not. Yeah, that's it. I hope you understand.
So one short question for you, if any. Yeah.
How did you solve this scanning problem?
Our entire idea is that to avoid this scanning thing, we want people to focus on the content, especially.
No compromise.
There is compromise. We use images on the background, so when you scroll through the posts, you see the image, and that's the kind of clue what about the story will be. If there's some kind of hurt on the background, you know it's about love and so on. Yeah, and that's how you decide also in YouTube what kind of video you want to watch with this thumbnail. There's a lot of similarities with the video.
Okay.
Is it possible to demonstrate, because I think like not all of the people sitting here understand what you are speaking about?
Yeah, I realized that.
It's quite similar like this. You don't have a post which is actually not visible, but it's just starts
I
like
can enter the website. I can show a prototype, and with this prototype in 3 months we reached 20,000 registered users, mostly from Latvia, 80%.
We are right in the country.
So I'm very happy that this is one of the examples when typical designer tried to become an entrepreneur because he was participating in a lot of startup programs now as a presenter of its startup, and I'm very proud of it. And I would like to see more and more designers become entrepreneurs and make your startup yourself. Yeah.
This is how it looks on a web page. You choose background image, like wallpaper, and then you write your story.
Okay. Everybody got it?
Something similar is on the phone also. Instagram plus Twitter, I guess. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Meanwhile, you can catch me or someone else can ask my questions. So we move forward for next. So next thing actually is featured investor. I would like to ask Lawrence up here, and as I promised, I will try to bring more and more guys who get an investor background in order to bring up in designer communities and looking for good projects and inspire designers probably to make your own startups or be the part of the startups, global startups and global teams. So yeah, Lawrence, please introduce yourself.
Hi everybody. How you doing? We're good? Yeah. All right. Nice to have beer, right? So yeah, my name is Lawrence Wright. I have a seed fund. I invest up to $300,000 in IT startups that have demonstrated traction, global markets, and are really, really cool, of course. I've been running the Moscow-based accelerator program for the last 4 years. It's really, I think, #1 acceleration program, most successful. Really focused on lean startup, doing it well, finding out if any of these great ideas have traction, have markets, have actual customers, right? That's what counts. So, great contacts in Silicon Valley, great contacts in the investment community, know how to help scale as well. So hopefully we're smart investors. Working on a big project now in Riga. It's still very early, but I'd love to come back maybe another time and give more details. We're building a big technology cluster here, so it's real estate and it's a lot of big companies involved. So love to talk with you guys more. Love to hear about your startups and what else can I say?
Okay.
And Riz.
I am not Lawrence Wright. So my name is Chris. I do tech commercialization, and I'm moving to Riga as well. We're Americans, by the way.
Couldn't tell.
Do you have your gun on you?
I do.
Yeah, let me pull out my pistol. Yeah. So I'm actually doing one of the startups that Lawrence is working on, and we're doing data mining. It's totally black, so I can't tell you, otherwise I'd have to kill you. That'd be a mess on the floor. But we're hiring. So if you're looking for a job, how many people are looking for a job? No, this is the thing. The partners are like, well, I don't know if this doesn't work out. I might be looking for a job. All right, so anyhow, if you send email to Riga, which you know how to spell, at ixpower.com, we're looking for UX UI designers for a big data project, and we're going to start hiring here in the next couple months. So we're kind of looking all over the world, actually, going to be bringing people into Riga. So don't leave, because we're coming here and we want to employ you if your startup doesn't work out, or maybe we'll fund your startup. So we have two things to offer: money and jobs.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
Money and jobs
In
is actually all that
addition
matter,
to
but
cemetery.
we'd offer stacks. But
What other positions are you looking for?
What?
What other positions are you looking for?
Actually, we're looking for all level coders, data scientists, Flax, minions. I mean, the whole gamut. So if you consider yourself a minion, please apply. If you want to do something besides minion, apply. So,
What is the
Riga
median?
at ixpower.com.
I'm
What?
sorry, what is the median?
What is the meaning?
Minion.
It's a minion.
Oh, Google it.
Okay, thank you.
In the meantime, you could grab both guys can and ask questions. So, last thing from my side, I would like to show off my featured project for last month. And it is actually not typical for designers who are developing websites and mobile applications. It's automotive application. And this is a project from Oberhauser, some sort of German design studio, and they decided they need to move to the automotive space. And this is actually a cockpit of the Tesla Model S. They got a huge 70 inches touchscreen in the middle, and they decided that they need to improve something, because Tesla is still looking a little bit oldie and some sort of automotive. And they bring this nice design in automotive design. I like this project a lot. There's a lot of usability things, actually specially designed for automotive, because there's different people who are driving the cars. Americans and Europeans, they both are different, because one of them are like knobs and other stuff, other not, and there's a huge science behind automotive user interface, how to interact with cars. But it's still an interesting project. You easily find out in Behance by googling Tesla Model S interface and something like that, and it's really inspiring. I like it a lot, because we started here in Riga one automotive project, and we're looking also for designers who would be ready to join the team. The idea to make automotive display design and user experience. So if you got an experience in that, or would like to join, or you're interested in that, just ask me, and I'll tell you. So the last slides about sponsors. So Cube Systems is one of the leading UX company here in Latvia, developing broad applications and websites. So they're providing beer, right? Say that. So Riga University is, we're dealing with technology and entrepreneurship education, organizing those nice meetup groups, and together with Stellenbosch University establishes bachelor degree of startup entrepreneurship I'm looking forward. And the meal is sponsored for this nice place, this co-working space. If you're a designer, just apply for your spots here in the meal. And we're looking for the next sponsors, the whole network. So, Meetup Network, if you're interested in enterprise or something like that, to sponsor one meetup group or a whole network, just find me. So yeah, here we come to the first speaker, first and only speaker for today. Alise, floor is yours. So yeah.
Not supposed to be yellow. Okay, so the heavy part of the meetup, theory and reality of the redesign. So I'm Alise, I'm from Infogram. And redesign is the topic that I've been interested in for a while. There are a few reasons why. So yeah, basically there will be a lot of the theory and less of the redesign, the reality, or some examples. If you expect some images, and actually it will be, I have one slide with 8 bullet points in it. So maybe it's a good idea to grab some extra beer and keep it next to you. So about me, I'm a UX designer and the co-founder of Infogram. And Infogram is a data publishing platform developed here in Riga. And I've been working on Infogram's UI and UX since the first day of it. And I experienced one major redesign, which was UI redesign, because Infogram was started in the era when you were allowed to make shiny glossy buttons and textures and interface all over it. But then we redesigned it, and I was always curious how users perceive every change you make as a designer. And as we know it from internet, and I will show some examples, there's always this huge hate flow on internet whenever some designer launches a redesign or a new logo, whatever it is. So that's why I was always curious how users perceive redesign and what's the best way how to implement your redesign to face less resistance. And another thing why I'm really interested about the redesign as a topic is because I study human-computer interaction in Tallinn. And for those who don't know, human-computer interaction is science about how to build technologies for people and how to do your research so you meet all human aspects in technology. And I'm actually writing a master thesis, and the topic is resistance on redesign. So I've read a lot of theoretical material, and I'm still writing my master's. So that's why I'm at the point where probably I have so much information in my head and I have more questions and answers at this moment, and you'll probably see this during my presentation. So I expect in the end of the presentation maybe we'll have we could have some Q&A session where you tell how do you tackle redesign and how do you implement this stuff. So yeah, redesign. So I'm not going to show any data on how redesign affects the service usage or how users perceive it. Like, I don't have any numbers for it. And I also haven't specified what redesign is. I don't have a common definition for it. It might be a logo redesign, it might be the whole interface, the whole architecture, or the whole service redesign. It doesn't matter. But I tried to focus on one aspect: how users perceive it and why do they hate it? Because that's my observation, they do. And I have one video. And that's Jack. And he just saw iOS 7.
What's different?
Everything.
Well, you're just gonna have to get used to it.
No, I don't want it.
So basically, that's what I feel when I launch every redesign. I think there will be people who will hate it, and then the question is what to do to not face this, and probably there's something we can do. But there are examples. It's not just like, and my observation is, the bigger brand is, the bigger hateful you get after you launch something. And you know, example about Spotify, they changed just the color. And then there were comments like, it looks like a puke, and please change it back. And then there are all these memes that appear after you redesign it. And then I thought it's probably lack of communication, and designers don't explain why they're changing this. Where, for example, in Airbnb, they had such a good brand communication. They had a landing page explaining all aspects of redesign. They introduced a movie, and they called it that they're unlocking power of belonging, and that's why there's this logo, and you can draw it yourself. And then they explained that it's about people, places, and love, and it was quite good communicated, and there are really good agencies working in this. But internet did this. No matter how you communicate this, there are still these memes, and then they kind of invited you to draw your own logo. That's so people hate you, whatever you do. And then, that's why I was reading about it. And maybe you can name some risks that you think of. What might happen when you launch something?
You alienate some of the users.
Yeah, like there's unpredictable behavior.
Yeah.
The usage data can drop, and then you have to explain it to your project managers and your web person eventually.
Maybe worst thing what can happen is that nobody talks about it.
Yeah, that's also a problem.
And so this effect probably is good.
Maybe design is so good that nobody talks about it, nobody notices, but you as a designer, you know that you've improved something. So probably that's the best scenario that you can get. Nobody is doing anything like Airbnb with Airbnb, your brand. But anyways, so I thought that the worst thing that could happen is that designers resist to implement change or to innovate because they face this resistance, and then their project managers or whatever who runs the project, they're afraid to implement any changes, and they do small stuff instead of redesigning and doing good things, because we still have to innovate, we still have to improve things, right? That's what Lean Startup teaches us. Measure and build, and again, measure and manage, and just do it in all those cycles and innovate all the time. So we still have to do it, and the worst thing can happen if we're afraid of redesign is that we just don't do it. And that's why, and the more I read about it, the more I became like cold with it. I like when something changes, because there's this thing, homeostasis, which is actually human. We have these mechanisms built in us. So we are keeping. We were tended to keep maintain this peace or this constant kind of state. It can be from physiology or psychology, but like when you feel hunger, you should eat because you will feel good again. Or if you are thirsty, you should drink because you will feel okay. And this feeling fine is this homeostasis. And where something is, when we have this disruption, then we are kicked out of this comfort. And it's built in a human. That's why we resist changes when something is like disturbing us out of discomfort. And what actually is a good thing about this, so we could say hating redesign is just a natural thing. That's what we're supposed to do because we're built this way. But actually there's this small thing of satisfaction after you, like if you're hungry, you eat and then you feel satisfied, and there's this good phase of satisfaction when you overcome this hate or this disruption. So you still can redesign because people will overcome it, and when they do, they feel satisfied. So yeah, these examples are from physiology, but it actually works in psychology and everywhere. So we kind of tended to hate these changes, but when we overcome, we feel satisfaction. And yeah, it's a good thing to remember that they don't hate design or redesign itself. Like if you receive a bad comment, you shouldn't think that it's because your redesign is bad. Maybe people hate because they are kind of kicked out of discomfort. So yeah, that's the slide that I warned you about. So what social psychologists suggest how to overcome these changes. There's 8 points what to do, and it comes from John Kotler. So yeah, basically what you should do is to explain changes and to get people on your side when you implement it. So you kind of say what you're redesigning, why are you doing it, and then you create a new vision that changes will be really good, and then you notify everyone about your message and why you're doing this, and then you give short-term wins. If you will do this, if you're implementing this, you will get this. So once you explain and get people on board, then changes happen smoothly. And yeah, there's one study that Austin French did in the 50s. So there were groups that participated in changes, and then there were groups that didn't participate in developing changes. And those groups who were involved in the changes process, they again didn't resist it so much. So maybe once you want to redesign something or you do your research, you do it with your users, and the more you talk about changes and what should be changed, the more they will be on your side. And marketing reminds us about the fact that redesign is not just a user interface or it's not a standalone thing. It's the whole service, it's the whole website you're redesigning. And if people trust and they're satisfied with your service, they will also kind of, accept the changes and accept things you do. So yeah, if you want to redesign a crappy service, it won't work because there's no satisfaction and trust in the service itself. So yeah, and then if you think about the Airbnb, for example, I love Airbnb. It's a really good service and I'm using it, but I don't like this logo, and I kind of understand these old memes that appear on the internet. So that's what this quote explains, is that the more you are attached to some brands and things, the more you're affected with every change that happens with it. And it's like, and then there's a term, IKEA effect, that explains this. The more you invest into building or customizing product for yourself, the more you are affected with changes. So that's like a MySpace example. People build their own websites, they made designs, and then MySpace redesigned it, so it was all like unified design, and your personal investment and your personal customization was no longer part of the brand. So yeah, the more you attach, so that explains that there are some industries or some brands that will be more affected by this change just because people invest in those brands more. And then there will be just those neutral fields that will never get so much hate as others. So it depends on how people invest in your products. And yeah, information systems and human-computer interaction sciences have a lot of models how to implement redesigns or any changes that you do with the information system. But basically how they explain why people will continue to use your service and how you should use this. So if people perceive that your service is useful and their expectation is confirmed, so these are two squares, then they will be satisfied, and once they're satisfied, they will continue to use your service. So again, and this kind of model works if you're just onboarding and you're just starting to use any service. And the same can be applied once you redesign it. If they perceive that changes are useful and they confirm their expectation, then they're satisfied and they still use your service. So again, the satisfaction, perceived usefulness, you should explain why you changed something, and you should communicate it well so they have the same expectation. And this is my personal kind of observation, or what do we do when we implement changes, what we've agreed in the team. So we make sure that these changes are needed, and we do a lot of research before we do it. And sometimes there's this temptation to experiment or just to implement some things and see how it works. But then, yeah, you just have to know that there might be bigger resistance. And one really hard thing to do is maintaining legacy. So it means that when you implement some changes, you should still maintain the older versions or older features that you have in the system. Because some people might use it, and if you change it completely and people don't have access to it, then they will resist changes more. And then there's the term grandfather users. There are old users, and we try not to affect old users like in a bad way. So if we're changing our pricing strategy or whatever we do, we just don't touch grandfathers. So yeah, that's also, and they still have access to the new stuff, but you just don't mess with them. So and then again, one like from good implementation kind of approach, really good thing is to communicate whatever you do, and do it in different phases of the launch of the new feature. And that's something that I know we should do, but we're not quite doing it. So once you develop something, you do this user research, you involve users, you talk about changes, you kind of communicate something that doesn't work, and they kind of prepare that this will be improved someday. Then when you do it, you have some sneak peeks. Probably there are some really dedicated users, and you can share some early mock-ups or gather feedback, and then you don't lose like really dedicated users if you get them on your side. It depends. And then when you launch it, then you just say it out. Then it's really good practice to have an option to switch back to the old version. But there will be, like, if you say this to the developer, like, let's keep the old version, you'll get rolling eyes, because it's really expensive from, like, all sides of the board is expensive. And then just to maintain the user kind of customer feedback and help with onboarding and implementing and learning the new stuff. And another good practice is to communicate changes into context. I know that a lot of, like, what we do as well we send out an email or newsletter saying that we have this and this view, try out, and then you go back to the app and you might notice stuff or it's just all different. So it's good practice to have the messages in context. If you redesign some part of interface, just talk about it next to that part of interface. And yeah, you should communicate to different channels. It should be email, it should be all your social networks, it should be notifications in the interface, it should be customer success people talking to you when you press on this button, or like, yeah, the more contextual information is, the better it will be perceived. And reality. So yeah, what's after all this theory kind of materials and all our own kind of suggestions what to do, we're still struggling with the deadlines because all like research and all communication, everything takes time, and we're not always have time, especially if you are working in projects. Not like I'm a in-house designer. I have all time involved, but if you work with projects, then probably UX and good practice of UX is the last thing that people pay attention to. So yeah, what I mentioned, this legacy, maintaining 2 versions of stuff, or keeping the old versions and updates, or like thinking about grandfathers is not always well accepted from the team members. Because it's expensive, because not always you can do this, and people just won't do it. Yeah, the reality is that I still think that there will always be someone who will want like the redesign, and there will be people who will appreciate it, just because there are different user groups, just because there are just these grandfathers and new users that won't even like notice the changes if they're done using your service much. So there will still be haters. And yeah, I guess that's my thank you and Q&A slide. But I would like to ask you, what do you do to get less resistance when you implement changes? I want to share with others, because I didn't have this answer yet. Yeah, my speech is over. You can relax.
So,
Yeah.
Actually, I don't have experience in redesign, but I know one story about how Amazon changes the ground color. Because they used to be yellow, they used to have yellow background, and when they switched it to white, there was a huge hate flow, and they switched it back to yellow, and they gradually changed the color back to the white one. So they implemented the change over, I don't know, a few months.
That's probably good.
It's
a
not
great
applicable
redesign.
everywhere, but you can try if you want to, I don't know, change the color of primary action button, you can try this.
Yeah, so implementation of changes like steady now,
Yeah.
it's like right away.
Maybe you could reflect a little bit more on that gradual change versus like you implement everything is new in just one go and then you can switch back.
Well, I mentioned the infogram redesign that we did kind of 2 years ago, and actually we just finished it. So we didn't like change the whole interface at that once, just because we didn't have a research for that, and it just came naturally. So we implemented like editor side only, then button style, and then so yeah, we first did the UI, only like visual steps, and then we changed architecture.
So this gradually, instead of just putting the new version out once and then see.
Yeah, because if you put version like right away, then you have to have option to switch back.
Yeah.
And that's hard.
What comes before the idea of, not the idea, but the decision of doing the design? Are you making some kind of research?
Yeah. Well, actually, that's a whole new topic for the new
What are
meetup.
you researching?
How to conduct the research, how to make sure that all needs are there, how to not upset loyal users, and so on and so on. So we actually, I think we could do better on this research phase. But actually, like, there are usually some user feedback, there is a data that we look into, and then we have our own kind of assumptions, and sometimes we make a like really early mock-up or wireframe, and then we check with users. But it's also, it usually comes from user feedback and some data that we want to improve. And then we have our own guesses how to do it. Then we check these guesses, and then we implement it. But it's really simplified answers. There's a lot of theory now. But yeah.
What was this push for you to redesign?
The interface was just outdated.
What's the criteria? Why is it outdated?
Well, people said that it sucks. No, but yeah, it was before Jack cried on iOS 7. It was back then. So like shiny glossy buttons and fabric textures on the background, and that's something you don't do nowadays. So we changed it. But the incentive was to do visual changes, but we changed a lot of stuff years ago. Actually, could you raise a hand who have done a redesign, like in your careers? I would like to keep in touch with you, but because I have to interview for my thing, the manager thing. So if you could approach and give your contact information. Do you have a question? Because I have your contact
I just want
information.
to share a little bit of my experience.
Yeah.
We started redesign in February, and we are planning to launch next February. So it's taking us a year to go through a full company redesign. It's a brand redesign, it's a product redesign, a website redesign. We're changing everything except the name. So if you want to do a redesign, consider it 3 times as long as you expect it to be. We were taking 4 months, and now we're going to 12.
Well, I'll get back to that for more information.
Because we started pulling, a thread, and it just went from the logo, colors, the website, to brand voice and tone, to product, and I don't know what else we could do now. We're deciding everything.
You can start planning the next trip.
Yeah, we're already behind the trend.
Sundays.
Yeah, it's so we're making a redesign right now. So what we are doing is actually so that we're gonna launch beta first. So we're launching through 2.0. So the name of there's a purpose of a redesign because it's a new version. And the difference was we never did before that launching a fully new beta that will include some parts from the last old interface and stuff like that. But that kind of gives us time to experiment. Well, we still experiment just with the loyal users, with the ones who are interested, and get their feedback and stuff like that. But the difficulty there is anyways, like you start as you start kind of pulling one thread, and it ends up that you are already representing something, a feature that you're planning after 10 years. It's pretty difficult to kind of stay back and not to redesign too much.
Have you do you launch redesign with only one group of users?
So
or you launch it for everyone?
At first, so we actually started collecting people, kind of sending messages that new stuff is coming, like are you interested? So they're signing up for beta first. So we already picked the ones who are interested in something and ready to experiment. And then the whole marketing going to be about the first campaign about the beta launch. I don't know if it's going to be before the launch or after. And then again, getting people who are ready to experiment, and then we can measure it or just launch it all. I don't know.
Yeah, that's actually a really good thing. I think we did it once, but I don't know why it's not sort of like everyday regular thing. We implement some changes only to loyal, some selected group.
I think it's the same as the difficulties as you mentioned. So it's like to have those two versions in parallel. So that's, developers aren't happy about it too much. But then if you start from that, like, and the smallest feature is already this new branch, and then you just add more and more, maybe it's a little easier than just make this separate thing at once in one day.
Yeah.
I think the issue there is with discipline, because when you launch a small thing and you don't have that many users, it takes a long time to measure. And then after a while, you already you have this notion, feeling that you're right, and you don't need those results, and you're going to launch it to everybody, everyone. So afterwards, you're like, why do I need to measure anything at all? Because I'm right. You just launch it. Yeah, so that's when you do small parts. Like Facebook, when they do testing, right? They have a group, and within hours they have millions and millions of users complaining or liking the feature, right? But when you have thousands only and active 10 at a time, you don't have enough data to really measure, and it's very subjective.
Yeah, it's true.
So, any questions to us?
I just had one comment from my experience. I think it's important to kind of look after your product and do slight updates, or you might call them redesigns, all the time. Because if you keep your brand or your product in status quo for, let's say, a year or two, and then you try to do the changes, then they are too obvious. And so everybody notices that, and then you get all those emotions. But if you do like slight, tiny little updates all the time, then users kind of adapt, and they actually adapt to your brand as a changing brand. So that's maybe also the start of the thing.
Yeah, that's actually true. I was reading one article about agile information systems. So that's what we have. Like we constantly change and improve our systems, and the users have gotten used to this. So we know that there will be system updates. We know that the next version this might be fixed, and then we kind of share our comments or feelings about this particular version instead of blaming the whole brand. And that's actually that's changing. Yeah, we know that these systems are agile, even if we don't know that this is the word.
But I think that also an interesting question is why the incremental changes are so rare, and why we can see that many companies launch like Redesign once in 3 years or something like that, and they don't do these gradual changes.
Yeah, well, there are different kinds of redesign. So, like, you notice the brand redesign, logo redesign, like these major changes. Whether in these updates, there are small changes, and that's probably something you don't notice. But it depends on the type of the redesign, on volume.
You mentioned earlier that actually before you make a redesign, you should measure things. And the question is, like, if the results are worse than they were before, like this fine gentleman suggested that you should just change it back to the way it worked. But like, okay, the results are worse, just live with it, or
just pretend it never happened, say back to this and find someone to blame. Yeah, well, you learn from stuff. Like if you failed, then try to learn why. Is it the color? Then it's easy. Just change the color.
Okay.
Like you still learn from these failures.
Maybe if you have maybe if you have looked on the data, how much time does it usually take for the users to get familiar with new features? Because maybe you've seen like some more amount of data.
Yeah, that's what I said in the second slide, that I didn't have like data on this. I tried to look in, but it again depends on the type of the redesign.
Yeah, because maybe within the first 5 days, everyone's likes the changes, but then two weeks pass.
Yeah, and why I struggle to share some data, because they're so, like, I don't have the data.
Yeah.
That's the answer. But why I struggle to show it, because there are so many aspects that could affect this thing.
Yeah.
And there could be systematic. Maybe I launched the changes on Friday, two days are actually bad in usage. So it's really hard to distinguish all aspects that affect this redesign. Yeah, I was looking for data, but it's really hard, and especially if you're looking for some case study, and then you cannot tell if there was some marketing activity done at that time, and probably some highlight is affected by some marketing campaign, and nobody will answer you this, and you don't know. That's why it's, yeah, we should have a data that I don't have.
I'm interested in your research. Did you come across a case of a pullback, like a brand changing their logo or something and pulling it back? Actually, reversing?
Yeah.
The Yahoo?
Yahoo?
Oh, what's the example?
Amazon.
Amazon.
White, yellow.
Yeah,
But they gradually changed it back to white again. So they did it. Another example is Gap. I believe they changed the logo and they then changed it back because it was not accepted by the users. Gap did.
But how do you think would it be better to just change back or just live with the new one?
change
What
back.
would you do? Like, you like
I would
10%
try to
across the
learn
board?
what didn't work, and I would change that back, and I would try to learn what worked, and I would probably create a new version that's combination of what worked and
Like
what I
then 10% of those people who like the project, why did you change it back? I loved it.
Yeah, we have it. And it's really, those are probably those grandfathers that didn't mess around. And yeah, it just happened. You just
But then
shipping.
nobody's satisfied, like,
But
nobody was all
Yeah,
for
that's right.
personalization or something like that.
Yeah, but then again, the rolling eyes from developers. It's maintaining Brazilian versions for each user type. Life is hard.
Yeah.
People.
Question to audience. Twitter changed favorite button to like button to this heart button. Who likes it?
That's probably
It's the most recent redesign of Twitter. They replaced the yellow star with the red heart and changed the naming from favorite to like. Yeah.
Well, that's something
Nobody
you can
knows.
ask in the networking. Like, just grab a beer and ask.
Any more questions?
Yes, redesigning is pretty expensive stuff, especially if you want to do it the right way. It's all this research, pretty long period, and a lot of money should be invested redesigning itself. But what are those strongest arguments for redesign?
Well, that's the outcome of your research. You prove where, like, the best way is to prove where the money goes. Like, if we're not doing this, then we're losing this. If you can find arguments that affect some, like financial performance, then I think they're the strongest. But I really struggle to answer this because I'm working with Infogram for a really, really long time, and I'm kind of in-house designer, and I work with the team, and we're kind of going for the same goals. And I feel that people are on my side, and it's not the client side that I have to prove something. But probably Liga could share how do you kind of approve or prove the need for the redesign, and what arguments work the best. Because you work with a lot of different clients and you consultants.
But I would say I've always been part of this like brand big huge redesign after 3 or 5 years of having really old or outdated brands. So there has been a lot of this discussions, pros and cons, and a lot of people who enjoyed, and a lot of people who said no, give me back the old version. And we live in Latvia, so we never do back the old version because we just need to go further. We have invested in redesign, so. But from my experience, people tend to get adopted to new things, even though they kind of really dislike them within like half a year, because they are forced to do in Latvia. But then again, if you use the service quite frequently, if you use it like once a year, then probably it takes years for that. So yeah.
Yeah.
It's also the important part is how you present the changes. And for instance, with Google switched from serifs to grotesque. And with Google, when you're erasing the old one and seeing the new one, some other things like deconstructing everything, like in the media, how they invested the focusing on how they did it and all the process.
That was the example that I shared with Airbnb. They had a really, really good launch campaign, I think. And
so
I was
when
really
you're presenting it properly, so
I think they
people
did it
accepting
properly, but
how
there's
you work
still
with media
resistance.
and all the rest.
Yeah, well, it's like from theory, you should explain why you do changes. Like you should prove like why this is necessary, why your life with new changes will be better.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's what you
when
should
you're just rolling out the new design.
Yeah, and then you
Just
can
you're waking up and see the
campaigns,
differences.
you can
That
do
happened
interviews.
with the Russian IMDb site, like So they just rolled out the new design. It was quite well, but they were forced to roll back to the previous version.
Yeah, well, as I shared with Airbnb, an example, they had a really good launch campaign, but there was still this memes around this, and I think that's an explanation that the bigger brand is, the more you're attached to it, you will still feel personally all these changes, and there will be some percentage of resistance anyway.
I think also Airbnb is kind of, the community is very kind of open to changes, and all Airbnb users are really easy to adapt everything new that comes out. So, but I wonder, have you found some case where users are involved also in this brand redesign in terms of, I don't know, coming up with their logo ideas, coming up with their, I don't know, renaming ideas? Has there been any that kind of?
Yeah, like Riga, new
Any successful?
Well, the Riga new logo, that's my kind of first thought. That you shouldn't like, users shouldn't participate in design making, but they should participate in the research phase. But I can't name any example. That's something that I shared in slides. You should involve users. You should get them on your side. But what does it practically mean? You tell me.
Any more questions? No questions? No. Okay, thank you. We learned a lot about design, and now it's actually it's the last speaker of today, so we can run out of time. So, is there any announcements today? Everybody looking for something, for a designer or project, or just come out and speak loudly? Yeah.
Yeah, like
Just get here.
I have a loud voice, so I can speak up here. Well, yeah, we are writing some blog about e-commerce and all kind of marketing online stuff. It's called conversion.lv, and we are looking for some fine ladies and gentlemen who can write about UX design and all kind of trendy features and put it out in some criminal marketing, really journalistic way. So if you're interested in this, writing some topics about UX, then yeah, just come up with me and chat. Thanks.
Okay. Any more announcements?
Actually, I think first one. Oh, come on. So I mentioned about the UX conference that is going to be next February. So far, far, far away. But we have our very first speaker confirmed. His name is Eric Rice. Not the Eric Rice that is lean guy. Sorry, no, not the one. But the other one that is founder of information architecture concept and really old guy, was really, really, really interesting guy. also famous guy, and he's coming a day before UX Riga, and he's going to do a full-day workshop on usability and UX tools. And we probably will not announce it publicly. It will probably not be part of the UX Riga conference. But if you are interested in a full-day workshop spending with this information architecture usability guru, then just let me know, and I'll include you in this thingy. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So any more? Any more announcements? Large project introductions, announcements? No, nothing for today. Okay, that's it. Thank you for coming, and we will host next meetup in the middle of December. If you would like to speak as a speaker or have suggestions who would be invited for this meetup to speak, so just contact us. So, yeah, thank you for coming and enjoy networking.